Hello, college composition. So today we're going to be getting into a little bit of the difference between research writing and source-based writing. The culminating project, of course, of this college composition 2 is an empirical research essay or a research argumentative essay, right? So a lot of people start at the question, well, what is research, right? And your first reaction is like, oh, that's just information you gather. And you're not entirely, wrong. That's a pretty good answer. I mean, our class sources will say it's research is about acquiring new information, new knowledge um, about a topic, right? Um, so but it's talking this article is going to kind of go into how do you get from something that's kind of vague with a concrete answer to something that has many different perspectives, many different answers, and one being more of like source-based material, one being more of a research process to get information. Now, so their definition, research is the process of finding the information needed to answer your research question and then deriving or building an answer from the information you found. Now, one of the important concepts of this week to kind of get down about this process is the difference in how your research paper is going to be structured, the end. So normally when you sit down and write a paper for a class, you usually have a thesis statement pretty early on in your paper, in your introductory paragraph that can be clearly identifiable. Now, in a research-based essay, you're really going to want to go out and collect all the data, the information you need, and then from all of that research, then you have a thesis statement that bridges the gap into what all of it means, right? So a thesis statement happens more or less, depending on your topic, usually at the midway point of a research paper. And again, this is to help keep that difference in mind. We're going to look at the difference between research, refer to a goal-directed process of gathering information and building the answer to a research question, right? What the question is, what the topic you have, and then source-based writing to refer to many other types of information gathering that one might do. One important indicator of the difference between research and other source-based writing tasks is when in the process you develop the thesis of your paper, as just mentioned. So in a research project, you begin with a question. All right, so, and hopefully most all of you have something in mind at this point that you'd like to research. And then you're going to go gather data. So both using source collecting, going out conducting your own studies, that type of thing, your own surveys, experiments, and then you're gonna get the information that answers that question, right? And then you're gonna build the answer, and then state your answer in a single sentence. So this one sentence statement of your answer to your research question will become your thesis statement, serves as the main point of your paper. In the research writing process, therefore, stating your thesis happens at the pivot point between research and writing. And that's kind of the key there. So, if that, hopefully that's making some sense in the difference between the two. Let's see. Research writing, of course. The actual going and doing research is just gathering information, that type of thing, to answer that question, thesis, and then the actual research writing, sharing the answer to your research question along with the evidence that you built to answer that question, right? So there's some, essential building blocks of research writing. One, you want to do the real research, right? Begin from a question to which you don't know the answer. That's important in this process, right? Because if you already kind of have, a question or something that you may already have a bias. That's why it's better when you don't have an answer, right? It's something you genuinely want to learn more about, and it's maybe a question that's puzzled you or perplexed you for a long time, where you don't necessarily have any kind of bias. You're like, I just want to learn more about this. What do people think about this? What's already out there about this? And then what conclusions can I draw? And then what kind of information data will be needed in order to build that question, gather that information and that data, and then construct the best answer that you can from there, right? Which is your thesis. It's this one sentence answer to the research question. And then, of course, again, the last part of your paper is going to, share your answer to the research question in a way that makes it believable, understandable, usable for your readers. Use, well-chosen examples, validity. We talked about reliability and credibility at earlier points of the course. Make sure that your data is accurate. There's accuracy in the next one right there. So provide the reasoning explanation that will let your readers completely understand how this evidence adds up to whatever your observation or your question was. Now, the qualities of a good research question, right? You may have a good topic you might want to go about, but how do you come up with a good research question for your actual paper? So a research question is a question that can be answered in an objective way, and that's probably the key here. Even in an argumentative research paper, you want to try to come off, to build your own ethos and credibility, you want to try to be as objective as you can about this topic and collect evidence and data from all perspectives, weigh all aspects that relate to this topic in order to build your credibility. A good research question is one that can be answered using information that already exists or that can be collected, right? And that's probably the key for this research project. You will probably be needing to create some sort of a survey for your peers or go out in your community, interview an expert, those types of things, right? You need to be able to go collect data, conduct something that's unique, that's new and fresh that you can provide for that question, right? So a good research question is a question that hasn't already been answered or hasn't been answered completely or hasn't been answered for your specific context. So those are all different ways of saying that it's new. Whatever you're doing, you can pick a topic that a lot of people have written about and come from different angles. You just want to make sure that you're coming from a brand new angle. What are you adding that nobody else in the world has ever added to that topic? And that's kind of where it goes back to, if you want to collect certain evidence or research from certain individuals that may not have been consulted, who might be an expert on this, or maybe you're conducting your own experiment and you define the variables, your sample size, all of the conditions that limit the experiment that you're running, right? So basically, what is it that's new, right? And that's an important part of this, right? So if you write a research paper that's not really adding anything new, or it's kind of just all that it's doing is using a bunch of information that already exists, that's out there, it's probably going to be a lackluster paper. You really want to be able to convey that you're adding something new or valuable to this, that somebody in the future, if they're looking at this same topic, could read your paper and say, that is an interesting point of view, or that is an interesting thought on this particular topic. And it looks like next week we're going to be looking at topics, right? And how do you find a specific topic worthy of good research? Till then, be good.